Welcome back to Sonoran Sky Live. I'm meteorologist Pete Mangione. The topic today is the Ponderosa Pine, and could they be in danger because of things like climate change? So let's introduce our expert guest right now. I want to bring in Margaret Evans from the University of Arizona. Can I call you a tree ring expert in addition to your many other titles?
Sure, go right ahead. Yes, and the fancy name for that is dendrochronologist.
Wait, let me try to say that. Dendrochronologist?
Dendrochronologist.
Chronologist. Okay.
Tree ring scientist.
Well, I'm learning new things every day as we do this show. All right, so let's just start generally and kind of take a high-level view before we dig into some of the details. Is the Ponderosa pine population in danger here in Arizona from climate change?
Well, so the answer is yes, in certain ways. Yeah. So there are two things that we worry about in terms of Ponderosa pine, but also, forests in general in the Southwest. There are two things that are going on: fire and drought. And drought is something that is getting worse with climate change. The temperatures are going up. The trees are not necessarily getting more water. And if you think about things in your garden, if it's a hot day, you put more water on the garden and it does fine. But trees out in the forest, they're not getting extra water. The temperatures are going up. That means they're experiencing drought stress. Our Ponderosa pines in Arizona, they are drought adapted. They're a very drought adapted species. It's just a question of at what point does the warming and the drought stress really just push them beyond their limits? And that's where, we don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but temperatures are going up, drought stress is going up, trees have adaptations, but there are also limits to those adaptations. And then, we can also talk about fire. Fire is the other part of the picture.
Absolutely. And how does one look at tree rings to assess how the trees are either thriving or not thriving?
Yeah, well, it's pretty simple. If it's a wide ring, then the tree is growing a lot. If it's a narrow ring, the tree is not growing a lot. So a tree that is growing a lot is a happy tree. It's, doing a lot of photosynthesis. It's able to put on a lot of wood, a new wood in a given year. Typically in Arizona, that means it's a wetter than average year. So water is the big limiting factor. This is an arid region. So if you have a wetter than average year, especially a wetter than average winter and into the spring, then the tree tends to put on a bigger ring, and that's a happy tree. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned spring because I believe I read a paper of yours or a paper that your name was on from about a year ago that mentioned, hey, these spring conditions are especially important. Why is that when it comes to things like rainfall and temperature?
Yeah, well, it actually has a lot to do with snow melt. So a lot of our forests in Arizona are found in places that are higher elevation. We have a lot of vegetation diversity in the state of Arizona, from low elevation, desert habitats. A lot of the forests are found at higher elevations, and a lot of those trees really depend on snow melt. In the winter, it's too cold to grow. And then in the summer, it gets too hot and dry. And so there's this sweet spot, as the spring warms up, the temperature gets warm enough to grow, and the snow is melting, the soil is nice and moist. You got lots of soil moisture. And so the tree has really the best conditions for growing. If spring temperatures are warmer than average, then the snow melts faster and the soil dries out faster. And so you end up with sort of the dry down of the summer happening earlier, and it means a shorter growing season for the tree and more drought stress.
And, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but when you look at the past spring temperature trends and you look at the health of these trees, I mean, are we in danger of things like the Ponderosa pine or other trees here in Arizona completely disappearing, or is it a little more complicated than just that?
It's a little, as I said, these are drought adapted. It is a drought adapted species. Drought is part of their evolutionary history. It's just that the temperatures are getting warmer and warmer, and they're starting to push outside of, it seems like every time we turn around, it's a record-breaking this and a record-breaking that. And it's especially true with temperature. And so we don't know exactly, when the drought stress is going to kill trees. But we know that there are always limits to those drought adaptations. And we have seen a certain elevated rate of mortality in the trees in Arizona. In California, there's actually been much stronger uh, widespread mortality of Ponderosa pine in response to, I don't know if you remember, the California drought of about 2012, 11, 12, 13, 14. Right around that time, California was having a really strong drought. They had a huge die-off of Ponderosa pine associated with that drought period. So multi-year drought period, I think, is especially something to be concerned about.
Is there anything that we can do or people can do to maybe stop this decline, like forest management, things like that?
Absolutely, and that gets back into the other, cause of mortality, which is fire. And Smokey the Bear was a really strong message for a long time. The idea, historically, the Forest Service really had this attitude that a tree that burns up in fire is a tree wasted. And that didn't really acknowledge that fire is a natural process in forest ecosystems. And especially Ponderosa pine dominated forests are really adapted to fire, and they actually sort of need fire to remain healthy. So when we started suppressing fires in these Ponderosa pine forests, they became more and more dense. You have accumulation of fuels on the ground, and also, young trees that normally would have been killed by fire and removed from the forest, like thinning by these sort of low and mixed severity fires. We suppressed that. And so we have a buildup of fuel of 75 years of fire suppression that now when fire comes into this ecosystem, it used to not kill the big trees. It would take out the little ones, but leave the big ones and leave this kind of open park-like canopy. But once you have suppressed fire, you've got fire build or the fuel build up, and then you have rising temperatures, more extreme fire weather, fuel conditions drying out earlier. Now you have the stage set for these catastrophic wildfires that are not part of what naturally would have happened in these Ponderosa pine dominated forests, where you have large patches of high severity fire where essentially all of the trees are killed, including the trees that would have been the seed source for the next generation and the recovery of that forest, through ecological succession.
So it
So
almost,
that's another thing that we're really worried about. And management can help with that. So forest management, you thin the forest where it's feasible. You allow wildfire to happen when the conditions are not extreme, so that the fire can naturally thin out the forest if it's not extreme fire weather conditions. Allow fire to do its job, and then mechanical thinning is another way to achieve the same thing. The trees that remain, there's fewer trees, and so they're competing for the same amount of resources among fewer individuals. Each tree has more water because you've thinned out the forest. So it addresses both the drought stress and that fire issue.
and obviously losing these trees would have a lot of negative consequences. What about things like how important they are for the community and culture up, in places like Navajo Nation? That's a factor too of why we want to keep these around, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'm going to speak from I'm in Tucson, and we go up into the Santa Catalina Mountains to escape the heat. It's a place that is beautiful, that is, you enjoy the cooler weather. It's also where the water comes from, that snow melt that we were talking about that helps the trees grow well. That's the source of our fresh water, the Salt River. Yeah, the water for the Phoenix area. Part of our water comes from these forests. If you lose the forest, then the hydrology changes, the surface water flow changes, you have, more erosion, depending on the fire severity. So forests provide a lot to us beyond just wood. They are really important regulators of our water that we drink, and a whole lot of other, values in terms of recreation and cultural values on the Navajo Nation. There's cultural practices using Ponderosa pine in various ways. So there's a lot of different kinds of value that these trees offer to us.
And then I imagine also wildlife. I mean, I'm sure there are many different types of animals that depend on these trees, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Goshawks are one example of a raptor. Lots of different kinds of animals that require that habitat. The Mexican spotted owl is another threatened species that really relies on sort of kind of old growth or mature growth forest characteristics of ponderosa pine forests.
All right, well, we're going to take one final break here and wrap things up with Margaret Evans talking about trees and ponderosa pines. Welcome back to Sonoran Sky Live. Our guest is Margaret Evans from the University of Arizona. We are talking about trees, the ponderosa pine, and the potential decline because of things like climate change. One of the things I was thinking about, are there other parts of the world that are also dealing with this problem, and how are they trying to deal with it?
Yeah, actually, die-off in forests is something that is a phenomenon that we're seeing worldwide. So there are elevated rates of mortality recorded in forest types everywhere in the world. And there's a variety of different factors involved. In some cases, it's drought and drought stress. In other cases, it's other kinds of disturbances. Biotic disturbances, basically what we call sort of insect outbreaks. There are elevated rates of mortality caused by insect outbreaks. Storm damage. There are many different drivers, as well as invasive pests. So if you think of the emerald ash borer or the woolly hemlock adelgid, there are a number of different insects and also fungi that are getting moved from one place in the world to another place, where the new place, the tree is not adapted to sort of combating that natural enemy and is very susceptible to it. That's happening, for example, with whitebark pine, which is one of federally listed tree species in the United States. So there's a number of different drivers of elevated rates of mortality worldwide.
And one of the animals I just saw come up was the bark beetle. Could that potentially play into this?
Yeah, so that was a big part of the story in the massive die-off of Ponderosa pine in California. So that was really drought driven, but once a tree is stressed by drought, it has less of an ability to fight off its natural enemies. So it uses resins and, chemicals that it produces to fight off the insects. When it's drought stressed, it has less resources to be able to fight off that enemy. And so it can be hard to tease apart, did the tree get killed by the bug or by the drought? And so they often can go hand in hand.
And, we were just talking about it at the commercial break with my producer here about, people that live in the valley, live in Phoenix, that may only head up to the high country once, twice, 3 times a year. Why should they care about it? Could it be that, they just sort of take these trees for granted and that, they would notice something very, very bad if all of a sudden they weren't there years into the future?
I mean, I'd say the number one reason why it's important, besides the fact that it really is a beautiful and cool place to, retreat to in the summer or go skiing to in the winter. But the number one thing really is water resources. A lot of the water comes from those high places. When those forest ecosystems are not healthy, that means less drinking water, bottom line, from those places. Yeah.
And in our little pre-chat here before the show started, you mentioned a book. I'm not sure if I'm getting the full title correct. Twilight Forest. Is there anything you wanted to comment related to that book?
Yeah, so this is a book that was published last year by a science journalist by the name of Gary Ferguson. He's based in Portland, Oregon. And he, loves Ponderosa pine trees. I am in the same boat with him. If you've ever noticed, they smell great, like a really big old tree. They develop these cracks in the bark, and you put your nose in that crack in the bark and you smell this kind of vanilla or butterscotch kind of smell. They're just charming trees. They're beautiful. And he was noticing just a lot of, things in the news about Ponderosa pine dying off. So he kind of went on this journey of like trying to understand the science and what is going on and why is this happening. And he ended up, partly down here in the Southwest and interviewing some tree ring scientists about, these issues about fire and drought. And those are happening, not just in Arizona and New Mexico and California, but also in Oregon and Washington and throughout the West. Ponderosa pine is our most widely distributed pine in the Western US. So it covers a huge area.
And maybe the effect is kind of the same, but is there one weather variable you're more concerned with, the increase in temperatures versus the increasing lack of rain, or are they equally just bad?
Honestly, I'm more concerned about the temperature increase because it drives drought stress. It increases the rate at which water is evaporating from the soil, and it also creates strain on the water transport system in the tree, which basically gets pulled out of the tree like a thread, a continuous thread from the soil all the way through the tree, all the way up to the top of the leaves. And if the vapor pressure deficit goes down, which is really strongly driven by temperature, then that thread of water is getting pulled harder, and it creates strain on that water transport system. And that's one of the ways the trees get killed is, that transport system breaks essentially.
Margaret, you're making me want to get my old meteorology textbook when you're talking about vapor pressure and temperature. But yeah, obviously those things are clearly interrelated. Is there any kind of like new research on the horizon, any new things that you or others are looking at to try to help alleviate this problem?
I think really that concerted effort to manage our forests in the way that we know is going to improve their health thinning out the forest, reintroducing fire back into these systems so that the fire is not going to be catastrophically dangerous, but rather, get it back in there in the system as a natural process that is not going to kill all the trees and keeps the forest nice and thin. Mechanical thinning is really expensive, and then the trees grow back in, like another 5-10 years. And so fire, if we can get fire to do the job for us, it's going to be a lot less expensive.
And we have about a minute left. Do you have any advice if people are looking for more information on this topic of maybe where they can go to find some resources to educate themselves?
Yeah, I mean, Gary Ferguson's book, I think, is well researched, and that's a good one. The Laboratory of Tree Ring Research at the University of Arizona, we are open for docent-led tours, and people are welcome to come down and learn more about tree ring science, and that includes, drought stress and how that's affecting trees.
Oh, cool. So you can actually go in and actually look at tree rings and kind of be your own observer?
Yeah. And all the different kind of research going on in the lab, yeah. So it's there are weekly free docent-led tours through the tree ring lab. Yeah,
all right,
so come join us sometime.
I think I'll have to do that. Margaret Evans, thank you so much for joining us on Sonoran Sky Live. This has been very educational.
Thank you very much.
All right, and we will see you next week on Sonoran Sky Live. Next show is 1:30 p.m. on Tuesday. See you then.
To keep you safe. Download the AZFamily First Alert Weather app today. Your first alert to weather changes. First Alert on AZFamily.
Coming up.
Are you ready?
It's Drew's ultimate kitchen competition. Culinary titans face off to win big for the audience.
We have the best of the best.
But can they handle a surprise ingredient?
Please send the